Have you ever looked at someone's work and just wondered, how do they do it? How are they so consistently good? Well, today we're pulling back the curtain on that very idea. We're going to explore the architecture of method, a framework for taking those random flashes of genius and turning them into something you can rely on every single time.
Yeah, this really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? The best work, the stuff that looks so effortless and natural, it's almost never just a happy accident. It's built on purpose, with a plan. So, how do we get there? It really comes down to understanding two key forces. You've got taste, right? That's your gut, your instinct, that inner voice that just knows what's good. But then, you've got the method, and that's all about discipline, the system you build to make your good taste repeatable.
But hold on, this isn't about instinct versus discipline in some kind of cage match. Not at all. The last thing you want is for rigid rules to stamp out your creativity. The real trick is to build a bridge between them, to connect that raw talent with the ability to show up and deliver again and again.
See, the whole point of having a method isn't to get rid of your intuition. It's to give it a solid foundation to stand on. It's like catching lightning in a bottle and then figuring out the recipe so you can do it whenever you want. So, how do we actually build this bridge? Well, the method itself is beautifully simple. It's built on just three core pillars: context, direction, and structure. This is our roadmap, It's how we're going to get from a vague idea to a rock-solid process. And everything starts right here. Before you even think about coming up with ideas, before you draw a single line or write a single word, you have to understand the world your work is going to live in.
Okay, so let's look at our roadmap again. We're kicking things off with step 1, context. This is the foundation for everything that comes next, and honestly, getting this part right is absolutely crucial.
So what do we even mean by context? Really, it's about zooming out and seeing the big picture. It's about asking the tough questions like, why are we even doing this? And most importantly, it's about figuring out what this thing actually needs to do to work, not just what's going to look pretty. Let's break that down with an example. Imagine you're designing a chair. First, you have to understand the environment. Is this going in a chaotic office or a calm living room? Second, you clarify its purpose. Is it for someone working 8 hours straight, or is it for casual lounging? And third, you focus on its function. How comfortable and sturdy does it really need to be?
Okay, so once you have that deep understanding of the what is, the context, then and only then can you confidently decide on the what will do. This brings us to our second big phase, setting the direction.
Let's check back in with our roadmap. We've established our context, and now we're using all that insight to create our direction. You can see how one step just flows perfectly into the next.
Direction. This is where you get to be the architect. It's the blueprint phase. This is where you make all the big creative calls about the look, the feel, the vibe, before you start building anything. It's about being intentional.
A really solid direction usually has these three things. Let's go back to our chair. The aesthetics might be, say, modern and minimal. The tone could be sophisticated, maybe professional, and the intention. Well, the intention is to make the person sitting in it feel focused and calm. All right, we're making progress. We've got our deep understanding from the context phase. We've got our creative blueprint from the direction phase. Now it's time for the really satisfying part, bringing it all to life. This is the final step, building the structure.
And here we are at the last stop on our little journey. Context informed our direction, and now our direction gets a solid skeleton through structure. This is where those abstract ideas finally become something real and tangible.
Think of structure like actually building a house. You've got the blueprints, that's your direction. But now you got to pour the foundation, put up the walls, get the roof on. It's about creating a solid framework that's built to last.
So what does a good structure look like? Well, it's clearly organized, so it's easy to find your way around. It has a visual logic, where everything feels like it belongs together. And, this is key, it's built in a way that can be maintained. Think about a great website. It's not just nice to look at, it's also simple to use and easy for the owner to update.
So remember where we started? With this idea of two separate things. Taste on one side, discipline on the other. But as we've walked through this, it's pretty clear they aren't enemies. They're actually partners. They need each other.
But I get it. After all this talk about process and systems and structure, you might be wondering, okay, but aren't we just trying to engineer the creativity out of it? Is the goal to replace that initial spark? And the answer is
Absolutely not. The method doesn't kill your intuition. It gives it a home. It takes that brilliant, fragile idea and builds a structure around it. A structure that lets it grow, be repeated, and become something you can truly count on. So the real question isn't about whether you have good instincts or not. You do. It's about what you do with them. Your instinct gives you that spark, the magic. So I guess I'll just leave you with this to think about. What structure will you build to protect that flame and turn it into a fire that lasts?